This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a Monday night edition of Beach Talk Radio. Kim is still on vacation in Utah, and we have an action-packed show lined up for you tonight. The star of the show is already with us, so we're going to get right into it. Matt Caldwell, the Lee County property appraiser. Matt, how are you? Oh, I think you can't hear me? Oh, somehow we lost you. There you are.
All right. We'll go with that. How are you this evening?
All right, good. Everything's good. I see you're mobile, so I wanted to just jump right in to this conversation with you because since the last time we spoke, there was a couple of monkey wrenches that were thrown into the whole thing. And so the first question I wanted to ask you about was when the state/FEMA got involved and sent a letter to the Lee County Board of County Commissioners, the county commissioners. What was your first thought? I mean, why did they get involved in the process at that point? Did something happen along the way where they felt like they needed to get involved?
Well, I'm not sure that was the motivation. I think what happened here was kind of a confluence of circumstances. The county had already been going through reviewing its floodplain management plan and had it up in Tallahassee to look over before Hurricane Ian hit. And so when the storm hit and then everybody was talking about, the cities in the county were talking about a multiplier and whether or not they can do one in their own codes, the county communicated that they may be looking at that along with their update they were already getting ready to do in November. And that was what I think precipitated FEMA and emergency management taking a look at what they were proposing and offering their opinion, their position that cities and counties can't adopt their own arbitrary percentage in multiplier.
Okay, so did that throw you for a little bit of a loop, or did you know it was coming and you knew that you were going to be part of the process a little bit more?
Yeah, we hadn't heard anything about it till we were sitting there that morning in the county commission meeting. The state had apparently just sent it over about a half hour before that meeting and kind of blindsided everybody, but look, that's the position they've taken. We had a follow-up conference call, the county staff, myself, and some of my staff with FEMA and Tallahassee Emergency Management, and discussed what it looked like, made sure that we understood what they were saying and the way they conveyed it in the letters, the position they've taken and are going to take, by the way, with all other cities and counties. They are going to look to remove any multipliers that are recorded in the code and have the local jurisdictions focus only on communicating with the property appraiser if there is a multiplier.
Gotcha. Okay, so at that point, the first thing I want to go back to is one of the first times we had you on the show, I said something to you about the 20% that the town of Fort Myers Beach had in place. And you said you're not really sure what that is or why that was there, and which kind of made it seem like, okay, everybody is going off on a different direction here. You got one municipality doing 21, doing 30. The county was looking at doing something else. Everybody's trying to help the residents as best they can. That's what the goal is. But so when the letter came down and you all started to discuss it at the county level, the conclusion was that your office is the sole decision maker when it comes to anything like this. Is that really what it came down to? Only you can decide, your office.
Well, in as much as the tax assessed values get used for the 50% rule process, the thing to keep in mind is the best answer is a private appraisal. Now, not everybody has the money. Not everybody has the kind of damage that needs that. But right off the bat, using our tax assessment numbers for something other than its intended use creates this kind of challenge that we have here. I mean, one of the obvious challenges are our appraisal date was back in January 1st, not September 28th. And so you've got almost 10 months of inflation and market changes that are not captured in our numbers. That's just one of the obvious reasons why a current private appraisal is going to be a better option. But if people use our assessments in the case where they don't have significant damage and it makes it easier and they don't have to spend the money, then yes, use ours. We have already proactively developed that tax value letter that people see on our website. That breaks out the just value. So a lot of the conversation about a multiplier has to do with using cost figures and trying to bring those up to current. we haven't used cost figures in this case. We set that aside, took the just value, broke it out so that you can see just what the building value is. And that's the number you can take and work with the permitting agency. And for most people, that's gonna suffice.
Okay, so before I do want to kind of go through the exercise so people can see from your website how to find the right number. But there, Michelle brought something up that I think Cecil Pendergrass also brought up at the county board meeting, and that he wanted to know if this was a rule change in the middle of the game here, and that Fort Myers Beach, for example, has had 20% multiplier on their books for a long time. So it sounded like the county attorney said that this wasn't really a rule that was implemented in the middle of the game here. What's your whole explanation on that? Was it or was it not?
Well, ultimately, that's up to the city and the county to figure out with FEMA. But it does appear, well, I'll say this: FEMA and Tallahassee Emergency Management take the position that the rule has never allowed for a municipality or a county to adopt a fixed multiplier in their code. That's their position. The fact that some municipalities have it, the Tallahassee DEM officials indicated that they had already been starting earlier this year, going around to the 400 plus cities and working on getting their code revised to get rid of these anyway. So it really appears to be something they were already working on, bringing everybody up to consistency around the state. And now this instance in Southwest Florida obviously has brought it to light for all of us.
Before we get to the page, if there's anybody that's watching from Fort Myers Beach that wants us to put in their address, we could use your address as an example when we go to the LIPA page to see the difference in the numbers. One of the things that I was surprised about, Matt, when this whole thing came up at the county board meeting, was that nobody kind of said, okay, we know Matt's Matt's office is now in charge of this whole thing. Are you going to add a multiplier to it? And nobody asked that. And so I guess we just assumed that the answer would be no.
So our values don't meet the definition of a multiplier. The part of it is the different way in which Florida does tax assessment than in other jurisdictions. For example, in Georgia, they have in their statute that you only get taxed at 40% of what the value is. So if your property is worth $100,000, you're only taxed at $40,000, right? Now that's a simple equation, and that's what the FEMA rule actually contemplates, is undoing that. There's a lot of states around the country that have fixed statutory deductions to their tax roll. We don't do that. We develop our just value based upon the actual sales in the market. We do make some deductions to bring it down to cash value, getting rid of the non-cash items. But that's not a major difference. You're not talking about 20, 30, 50% difference. You're talking about a number that, for all intents and purposes, is equivalent with the market value. And so we've stuck with this. We've tried to educate everybody the best we can about the limitations. Again, this was not developed for your 50% rule. It's developed for your tax process. If you're a taxpayer, you probably don't want us to have it at the highest possible number that it could be. That's different than maybe your motivation when you're going in for this permit. You're going to want as much equity as you can. So there's a lot of things that are in tension between the goals of the tax assessment process in Florida and then using that for the 50% rule. So the thing to reflect on is if you've got minor damage, if you don't have, significant issues to address, then it's going to work for you because you're going to have enough equity in that 50%. But if you're anywhere close, go get the private appraisal because that's going to serve you better for the process.
Right. So it's this argument is mostly for people who think they're close. They're on the line there of whether or not it'll be the 50% FEMA rule will go into effect.
Yep. And I haven't. This came from the county staff. They indicated last week that they had 8,000 EN permits so far, and only 14 had failed to meet the 50% threshold.
Yeah, I think that number might be different on Fort Myers Beach, though.
Well, and that probably haven't had as many submissions yet on the beach. People aren't ready, really to get going on the big projects.
So do you think there's a possibility? I don't want to get into those numbers yet. Okay. So somebody did volunteer up their address. So we're going to, it might be a little bit hard to see, but once we get on this page, Matt, what am I clicking on here to see the numbers? Parcel details, tax estimator, view comps. What's the right thing to click on so we can get to where we need to be? And we lost your sound again for some reason. So see if we can get your sound back. It's probably people. Let me see if I take that out. Can you hear me? We lost you again. So I don't know what happened to your sound. And Matt is in the car. I know I grabbed him at a busy time. Nothing yet, but we'll try and wing it while Matt's there and see if we can get him back. I'm hoping that you can help take us through the steps here. There you are. There you're back. We're back.
Yeah, when you changed screens there, I lost the auto feed. So sorry.
There you are. We got you back.
All right.
All right. So you tell me what steps to go through to get the right picture on the screen for everybody to see.
Sure. You go to parcel details there, the top, kind of the top right there. There you go. And it should open us another screen.
Okay, I think I need to switch it out, so I can do that by doing this and then get that screen up here. All right. Now I think you're probably going to see the right screen. Is that the right one there?
There we go. Yeah.
All right.
You see right there under current working values, tax roll value letter. Highlighted in yellow, right above attributes. Yep. And just hit continue for now.
Okay. There we go.
And there you are. And so you have there the just value, that's 555,740.
Right.
We take out of that the land, and then we split the remainder between three categories. Your land extra features will be things like a shed or your seawall or a pool. Building extra features will be things like your fireplace or solar heater system, things like that. But the key is the building value right there. So on this one, your building value, $214,285. So essentially, you're going to have about $107,000 worth of permit value to work with before you'll trip the 50% rule on this property here.
Okay. This is a Fort Myers Beach property, and that explains it pretty simply that 214,000 is the number that people need to work with to stay under the 50%, which you explained is 107,000. Now, in all likelihood, the assessed value of that property is going to be way lower, correct?
Yes, the assessed value, the actual taxable value is lower than this. This is the just value. So this is the top line number. If you go back to the other screen, we'll see the difference between these. All right, and open up, go down the second plus sign there, values 2022 tax roll.
Okay.
All right, so you can see here the just value, that 555, and then you go down and the cap assessed is 421. That's the, this property is not homesteaded, it appears. So this is just the buildup of the 10% cap each year, since whenever this homeowner bought, they have the protection of the difference there. And one thing I want to note for some folks. So that automated letter works really, really well with our single family and our mobile homes. It does not work as well with our other property types. So some folks have been calling us to talk about duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. We are working to see if we can get that automated letter to work correctly. There were some examples where properties that we use the income approach as the primary way of valuing it wasn't processing out accurately. So we turn those letters off for now. But if you need this answer, contact us at the office. We'll try to help you through it. And we're seeing if we can get the at least the small multifamily where it works with this letter as well.
Okay. So that was crystal clear. You see the letter, you see the number, you know there's no multiplier. Go with that. On that property, it's 107,000. Is there any number that the town of Fort Myers Beach is allowed to use to add 20% onto? Any number?
In terms of anything they do downstream of what we provided, that's going to be up to their conversation with FEMA. Whatever they do, they have to get it approved by FEMA and be able to demonstrate why it's protecting their floodplain management plan.
So, for example, that number of 421 that I pulled up for a reason, because there are some folks down that work at the staff from Fort Myers Beach that are still saying that the assessed value can still be multiplied by 20%, and then you take the 50% off of that. They're still saying that. What is your understanding from your conversations with the state and FEMA about that explanation?
That certainly seems contrary to what I heard them explain in our conference call 2 weeks ago, and that the staff at that time indicated they were going to communicate with the beach specifically about finding resolution on their code.
Okay, so there's another municipality that was 30%. Was it Fort Myers or something?
The city of Fort Myers. Yep.
Same thing. Same thing. Go for them and use the letter, and that's really going to be rock solid for everybody that's in the county or those that are their own municipalities, unincorporated. That's the letter you want to go with.
Yep.
Okay. So where does all this go from here? I mean, what role does your office play moving forward now?
Well, the biggest thing we need is for folks to continue to communicate with us. We have two things that we're going to have to evaluate quickly. Evaluate whether or not people are going to get a refund based upon what the legislature does in the special session in 3 weeks. Every hurricane before major hurricane has resulted in some kind of refund to taxes. We expect they'll probably do the same here, but I have to then be able to verify that your home qualifies. And typically what that means is substantially damaged, uninhabitable for at least 30 days. If you go to our website on the front page, the landing page, there's a link where you can click in, tell us your story, upload some pictures, let us know what you're seeing, what you're dealing with. That'll help us process the refund if it does end up getting adopted. And then number two, we have a new tax roll starting January 1. The process starts all over again, just like it does every year. And so all those properties that have damage, we need to make sure that we accurately reflect that in the record so people get taxed appropriately. Particularly the ones that we're going to need help with are the people that had floodwater in the home, but the home is still standing. We're not going to be able to see by the time we get out after January 1, you assume all the trash has been cleaned up, the yard's looking decent again. We're not going to really know what the condition is on the inside unless property owners tell us. And so again, communicate with us, go to our website. You'll get letters from us as we start the homestead renewal process after the first of the year, encouraging people to upload that as well. Information is what we're looking for.
Yeah. You're saying there some folks might get a refund on the taxes for the year that's kind of just concluding, And then there's going to be some. I mean, what happens to the homes that aren't there anymore? I mean, and they're going to get a tax bill for what they were assessed on, and their house is gone. I mean, how does that work?
So the formula that likely will get adopted, if your house is uninhabitable or gone, then you're going to get a zero value assigned for the last 3 months of this year, and then to the building, and you'll see the taxes then deduct multiplied from there.
Oh, I hope you're not getting sick or something.
Well, I've been getting over it, but I think talking this much has got me tickled
sure.
in the back of the throat.
Yeah, you became Mr. Popular with one letter from the state. So
trying to help people, just trying to make sure we do the best we can.
By the way, how big is your office? Do you have a lot of people helping you out? I mean, there are a lot of employees in your office?
We have about 90 on staff,
Okay.
Which makes us about half the size of most of the other large counties.
No kidding.
we use a lot of technology to get the job done.
Gotcha. Okay, so folks on the beach, it's important that I know you're communicating with so many other departments and people, but you might get a refund for 2022, and it's important for Matt's office to know how your house is looking or whether it's there for 2023, because if your house is gone or if you were out of it for a certain number of months, then it sounds like you're almost going to be just taxing them on the property, not the
it'll just be the land value. And we want to make sure also people that intend to rebuild and come back, we don't want them to lose their homestead. They need to let us know that they intend to make that their homestead when they get it rebuilt, and they don't want to lose that savings either.
Gotcha. Is there anything more coming in front of the county board of commissioners that we should watch for in terms of this 50% FEMA thing, or you think we're pretty much past everything and we just need to follow that letter?
I think they're past it at this point, and unless something new presents itself, they're going to move forward.
I'm gonna let you go. Normally we would just keep going on, but I feel like I'm torturing you right now.
Well, it's okay. You know, I love to answer questions, but I don't want to ruin your guest ears listening to me cough every 2 seconds.
No, thank you. I think the main thing was we wanted to try and clear up the confusion about the 20% on the beach, because they are still saying that on the assessed value, and it sounds like that number is going to be so much lower that even adding 20% on it isn't going to be as helpful as your letter or a private appraisal.
Yep, I would agree with that.
All right, Matt, have a great night, man. Hope you feel better and talk to you soon.
Absolutely, Ed. Thank you.
All right, Matt Caldwell, the Lee County property appraiser. It looks like maybe his family kicked him out of the house and said he had to do it from the car because he's not feeling too well. But always great answers there, and I hope that cleared things up for the folks on the beach. Use the letter that's on the LIPA website, and it seems like you're going to have much better luck with that than you would if you added the 20% onto the appraisal of your home. So we'll continue and follow up with that. Right now, our guest is Stephen Clark, and Stephen is not only can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Oh, listen to you, crystal clear. Not only is we're going to talk about some cool stuff Stephen's doing on the beach, but he is a former television anchor from Detroit, Michigan. You're lucky I'm letting you on the show tonight after what your Lions did to the Giants yesterday. So
hey, listen, don't diss the Lions. It's 3 in a row. That hasn't happened since I think I was born.
Is it really 3 in a row now? Good for you.
3 in a row now. I know it's amazing.
Wow.
It's incredible. This has never happened.
They've been so bad for so long, so they deserve a little positivity there. So
exactly.
So Steve,
Ed, I interrupt you. You know what they did yesterday? Fox dumped out of the broadcast with 2 minutes of the game.
I saw that.
They said, "Oh, we're going to go to a game that's more competitive." So even when the Lions win, we lose.
Always getting crapped on in Detroit.
Exactly.
So, Steve, what's your give us your musical background kind of history here before we tell everybody what you're doing on the beach.
All right. As you said, I was a television news anchor. I did that for 40 years, but I started long before that as a musician. So I've always had this parallel career as a musical journalist. I called myself a songwriter. And I'd play, songwriting events and things like that over all the years. And then finally, when I retired from television, about 4 years ago, I made music my full-time thing. So my goal is moving down here to Florida and become a beach bum musical troubadour. And I've been doing that down here for a couple of years. And I was all set to play the beach here in Fort Myers Beach. I was playing the Naughty Parrot, and I was trying to get myself in at the Diamond Head and Pinchers and all those places up and down the beach. Then they all went away.
Yeah. How did you pick Fort Myers Beach as the place to become the beach bum?
Well, I mean, it has beach in the name. How can you lose? It's a gorgeous place, and we live here. We live on the south end of the island, so I'm right now at my house on the south end of the island. 2/3 of my house is doing really well, so we're in it and doing fine. It's that bottom floor that's kind of messy.
Right. And you got power, and you looks like you're good to go there. So a little at a time, the beach is turning back on.
Yep, exactly.
And
we got power and water, and got our pool cleaned out and put all the new pool stuff in. And an electrician comes about every other day to fix something else, but we're just chugging along.
Dan says the beard looks good on you, so I'm guessing that's something new.
That is fairly new. When I as a television anchor, I couldn't shave or I couldn't grow beard. So for 40 years, I had to shave every morning. So now this is me.
It's like playing for the New York Yankees. So you started to collect money for artists on the beach that obviously weren't able to play because all the venues are gone. So why did you do that, and how did you do that?
Well, first of all, I kept, people would actually send me, I would do these Facebook lives that I do about every week, kind of updating people like you do, but I only do it like once a week. And I was astounded by the number of people who watch these things. I have one of them that got 2 million hits just doing walk arounds the beach. But people would always ask the question, what can I do to help? And frankly, I didn't know what to tell them because I didn't really want people to kind of come down here because the crowd would have been bad. I told a lot of people to send money to you, frankly, because we needed something to do. And then I started asking myself the same question. Well, what can I do? And I play in Bonita Springs at a place called the Island House, and I play once a week, Friday nights there. And I also book their acts for them because the owners are friends of mine. And I started suddenly hearing from all these musicians who suddenly didn't have anything to do. And they're all saying, man, I'd love to be able to play your place. All my jobs are gone in Fort Myers Beach. Do you have any openings? And unfortunately, we don't have any slots. So I started thinking, well, I got to figure out some way to get these guys paid.
Yep.
So literally, I woke up from a sleep one night. I said, I know what I can do. I can just raise money to pay Fort Myers Beach musicians to play in Fort Myers Beach because I've been dragging crap out of my house for the last 2 months. I'm tired of it. I want a break. I want an escape. I want to be able to go someplace, watch the sunset, hear some music, maybe have a cocktail and just pretend it didn't happen just for 2 or 3 hours. And so that's what it came to me. Is I said, okay, I'll raise money to pay Fort Myers Beach musicians to play on Fort Myers Beach to Fort Myers Beach residents. That was a simple mission. I did a GoFundMe campaign, and I raised like $14,000 in the first couple of days. So I can fund now. I'm already got like 15, 20 musicians that I'm doing, I think 40 shows or something over the next 2 months at places like Wahoo Willie's, as you know, where you do your show. One of the only places open on the beach, Wahoo Willie's, Yucatan, and Bayfront Bistro here on our end of the island. That's all that's open.
Right.
So I've gone to the owners of those places and said, I will pay your musicians. Because right now, people may not know this. The musicians at those places that are playing right now aren't getting paid. They're just being allowed to sit there and play for tips, which is fine, but they're not getting paid to play. So I said, I'll be able to afford to take 2 days a week at each one of these places. So I'm paying for 6 days a week for a musician to play for pay. And I'm actually overpaying them, which is a good thing. And they can get paid at least through Christmas and into the first of the year. And if I make more money, I'll keep doing it.
And so, did you do something last night in Times Square or Saturday night?
We did Saturday night. Saturday night, I was working. There's a group called Fort Myers Beach Movement, and so I'm working with them occasionally when they set up one of these events. I will provide the music for them, and so that's what we did on Saturday night. We had a musician named D Rocks who was fabulous. Mm-hmm. And she we just pulled up. We called it a pop-up concert. She just pulled up on the sidewalk, just kind of over by the clock tower that doesn't have a clock, and set up her microphone and a speaker. And we just put the word out the best we could. And before we knew, we had 50 or 60 people dragging out lawn chairs. Instead of dragging out wet clothes and mattresses, they dragged their lawn chairs down to Times Square and sat there and had an absolute blast, listening to live music for 2 hours, something they just haven't been able to do for, like 2 months now.
Yeah, she showed me some of the pictures yesterday when we were over at the new Margaritas because she
Yeah.
also plays there, and it was during the sunset or right before the sunset. So the folks, I mean, obviously people are hungry for that kind of entertainment. They want to see the sunset. They want a reason to go back to the beach, and every day it's getting a little safer now that they're really going after the debris in Times Square, which was really hit hard, and there was a ton of debris there. So I mean, obviously safety is first. So she said everybody had a great time, and I think I'm not sure if the Laola food truck was there. I know it was there earlier in the day, but that's usually the place that those guys are parked. So do you plan to do more at Times Square like that, or you're not sure? Okay.
Actually, I'm playing on Saturday night. I know my mission is to pay other musicians to play, but I want to do it just because I want to have the experience of doing it, first of all. So I'm going to play this coming Saturday night from 4 to 6 or later, depending on how long people stick around. And I'll take the money I would have paid me, and I'll put it right back into my fund. And if I get tips, and I hope the tips are good, I'll take every one of those tips and I'll put it right back in the fund, because that'll get a couple of days of paying for musicians to play Fort Myers Beach, and that's the mission.
One of the things too that I was down by Wahoo Willie's where I saw you last Saturday, and went over by Bayside Park, and I realized that the park isn't that bad. It didn't look that bad. I mean, it's not safe yet because the middle area is still not even, and there's some bricks that need to be repaired. That would really be a great place for there to be a normal setup of bands and artists down there, so that people can mill down on, maybe block off the road so that some vendors can set up and just make a weekly event out of it. Because like I said, people, offer free parking. People just want to be on the beach during the sunset, and they want to help, and they want to donate, and they want to give things to the people that lost everything. And I understand the town is looking into accelerating the cleanup of that park. So that's great news.
Well, Ed, what I'd suggest, I would suggest you put on a show like that, because you are the voice of Fort Myers Beach. So you put on a show like that, I can guarantee you, I'll bring you the musicians, me and other musicians. We'll come down there. I will pay them to play, and we'll make it happen. Let's just make it happen, Ed.
Sounds like a plan. So if are you already full, or do you want other artists to get in touch with you?
I would love more artists. I have, because it's been kind of hard, because I have known a few artists in town, and plus in my role at the Island House, I've met a few artists who do play down here regularly. But I would love to know more of the people who have made Fort Myers Beach such an awesome place to go, the other entertainers in this town, the other musicians. So I'm getting constantly, like every day, I'm getting one or two more email addresses or Facebook messages or whatever. So yeah, I want more, because the more I have, the more I can get playing. But then if I get more, I'm going to need more money to pay them. So I need to keep the GoFundMe going so I can keep more money coming in. Or I'd love to find a sponsor. If I can find a business that wants to sponsor this, and I'm good about that also. I don't care. I just like to get people back playing on the beach.
So somebody did ask if the GoFundMe is still up. Do you want to give it out?
Yes, it is up. Man, you're going to ask me the question here. Where did I put? Oh, you got that. Wait a second. I've got to look for the GoFundMe. I got to look. It's on my page on Facebook, but I can find it.
I can figure out a way to chatter while you're looking.
All right, yeah, if you want that, yeah, because it's I've got to post it on my pages.
And somebody will type. If I see some of the folks that know what you're doing are there, if you know what it is, you want to put it in the chat box, that's fine too. And if there's anybody out there that has a business that wants to sponsor what Steven's doing, please get in contact with me or him, and we'll make that happen.
Definitely.
To be able to have something like that every weekend would be great for the folks that are down there, and great for the folks that want to be down there, and also for the businesses that are down there now. Just to bring them as much money from open to close as we can would be a great thing. We know that there are going to be more businesses open as we move along toward the end of this year and beginning of next year. So it would be great to be able to spread the love as this thing gets rolling along. So.
And I'd also like to urge people to go to these places where the musicians are playing. For instance, my first one is tomorrow. Hold on, so I got my paperwork here. I'm not a very organized person, Ed.
It's clearly the case.
I am not an organized person, and my wife usually handles that. So I'm trying my best here. So we have got, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's November.
November 22nd.
22nd. So Lee Birchfield is my first musician that I've booked now besides D-Rock's playing the last pop-up. Lee Birchfield is playing tomorrow at Yucatan at 2 o'clock. Okay, so go down and support Lee, support the Yucatan, and get this thing going right here. Then I've got Megan Rose playing on Wednesday at 3 o'clock at Bayfront Bistro. And then I've got Alan Small playing at Bayfront on Friday. So that's this week. I got 3 musicians playing this week, and then I'm going to do the pop-up on the 26th back out there at Times Square. Man, I hope more people come out. It was a blast. I mean, just sitting in lawn chairs, because you know how you're sitting kind of by the clock tower looking out to the Gulf, and that sun is setting right behind the musician. And what was kind of cool was we had one of those big claw machines working kind of right off to the side. And I'm
on the beach?
Rocks with this claw machine kind of back there in the background doing this. It just kind of told the whole story.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And by the way, if there are any other artists out there and you want to get on the roster here, make sure that you contact one of us so we can get you paid, or Steven can get you paid. I did get a text already for somebody that might be interested in sponsoring. So when we're done with the show, I'll be sure to send that to you. So we get shit done around here, Steven. That's what we do. We get shit done.
Man, I tell you, it was funny because you did. I think you were interested in what I was doing a couple, like a month ago, and so we exchanged a couple emails. And man, times were so crazy for all of us.
Oh yeah,
you were in the you weren't doing much. You were just raising like $200-something thousand to pay people.
320. How dare you insult me like that?
But now I love if we could work together, because you got the voice. You tell people around here what's going on, and I want people to know this is going on. It's a big damn deal.
Well, one of the things we can definitely do is every time you have a finished list of the performers on Monday for the following week, we can continue to post that on our Facebook page and on our website and talk about it during our show. So I'll have to talk to your wife about making sure it's all correct, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's over here. She keeps saying, "Don't drag me into this," and then she keeps getting dragged into it. So she's good.
Great. Is there anything else you want anybody to know about what you're doing, how they can help? Did you give out the GoFundMe page, or are you still?
I don't know if you can type this in, because I can't type on your page, but
somebody will be.
GoFundMe. It's called GoFund.me/46956b44.
It's good that you made it easy like that. It'll be 4-4. Well, we'll find it and we'll put it on the Facebook page. Once we do that, you should get a little bit more money. And the goal is for that not to run out.
Yeah.
For as long as they need it.
As long as there's money.
Great. So what was the most crazy story you've ever covered in Detroit news?
In Detroit news, probably Kwame Kilpatrick, our esteemed mayor. If you remember the story.
Oh, I followed it in a podcast. They made a podcast out of it. So I followed that. Yeah.
Yeah, Kwame he came in with such promise, and was a very charismatic guy, and I got to be pretty close friends with him. I was the main anchor of the ABC station in town. So we got real close, and man, I tell you, and then suddenly things started going south, and he wouldn't return a call, nothing. I mean, whatever friendship we had was out the window, and it just went bad from really fast. And it was just a shame, because it was such a sign, unfortunately, of what people thought Detroit was. And then after he was gone, we got Mayor Mike Duggan in, and he came in, one of the first cool heads to lead that town in decades. And man, it started to turn around, that I was so happy that my career I got to be part of one of the greatest municipal turnaround stories ever. Watching a city come back from the brink, and it gets me thinking that I think I'm really happy to be part of the second greatest municipal turnaround story, and that's Fort Myers Beach coming back.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen Jim Adderholt's speech today about not only does he want it to come back, he wants it to come back like yesterday, like quickly. So there's no talk allowed anymore about this being a 5-year project or a 10-year project or anything like that. He expects this city, the town, to be a functioning city within a year, or town within a year, and that the next season is a season where people come back and they are on the beach and they're spending their money and they're watching the sunset and all of that. So if you haven't seen that, we did post it to our Facebook page. We clipped it out of the town council meeting earlier today and posted that on our Facebook page. You should check it out if you have a chance. So, Steven, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. I hope that's the right GoFundMe. If not, we'll make sure we get it right before we put it on our Facebook page and keep the money flowing. People,
Yeah, and then also on
people want
Facebook,
to help.
look me up. I'm Stephen Clark, singer-songwriter. I think if you just search that on the Facebook bar, Stephen Clark, singer-songwriter, you'll find my page.
Okay, and I'll add all that to our page so people can
Appreciate it.
follow you and keep in touch, and then I'll get with you on the sponsor after the show, and also on the schedule every Monday, so that we can tell people where the artists are going to be.
You are the best, Ed. Thank you for
All
all
right,
you.
man. Have a great night, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, Stephen Clark, everybody, and if you have a chance to check out the artists, they start tomorrow at 2:00 at Yucatan, and then Wahoo Willie's, of course, after that. And we'll get that full schedule up there for you on our Facebook page and then on our website, so that you can find it in either location. There were only a couple of updates from today that I wanted to share with you, and that was the main one was the curfew. The town council did expand the curfew from 7 to 7 to 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that means you can stay on the island until 8 p.m. if you're not a resident and you want to spend money at the 2 restaurants or 4 restaurants that are open. But if you are not a resident, you should get off by 8 o'clock so that you don't get stopped by any of the sheriff's deputies. And the contractors on the south end will have to wait until 7 o'clock, and that's only because the Bonita Springs still has a curfew down there, and so you're not going to be able to get on the island unless you're a resident early in the morning. So the contractors, if they want to start early, they have to come around to the North Bridge, the Matanzas Pass Bridge. They will be able to get on that side at 6 o'clock. So it's 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is good news for people that want to spend money and good news for the restaurants who want to make money. Wahoo Willie's was totally packed this past weekend, so that was great news. We're happy to see that. We will keep you up to date on how things go with that Bayside Park. And let's see, was there anything else from the town council meeting today that we needed to update you on? I don't think so. I think that we posted everything as it was happening earlier on today. We are going to have a show tomorrow night. We have a professional engineer, Aaron Harris, is coming on. So you might have seen a show last week where we spoke to Mark Dorston, and he mentioned the professional engineer. We want to make sure that we keep bringing these folks on that you can trust. If you still need an electrician, I do have a list of electricians that people have been using that I can email to you rather than post it up there. We are not selling any of the shirts right now until we get caught up on all the orders that we have. So as soon as we get caught up on those orders, we'll let you know how you can purchase one of the yellow shirts. We've sold over 1,500 of those. Also, Tuesday night, we have a second guest. That's going to be Pastor Sean Kritzer from the Beach Baptist. And the reason he's coming on is this. On the 24th, which is Thanksgiving, this Thursday, 3 o'clock, the Beach Baptist is having a free Thanksgiving. I shouldn't say, it does say free there. I just wanted to make sure it was free before I told people to go down there and look for free food. It is a free community Thanksgiving. So hopefully we'll see you there. I'm going to be there on Thursday, helping out and eating, mostly eating and less helping out probably. And we're hoping to do a show at about 4:30 from there. And so Pastor Kritzer is going to come on tomorrow night. They do not need any more volunteers. They're full of volunteers. What they need is eaters. So if you are looking for a place to go on Thanksgiving Day, that is the place to go. So other than that, we short and sweet tonight. We hope we straighten things out as far as the 50% rule goes. And appreciation to Lee County property appraiser Matt Caldwell for coming on. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow night. Kim is not back from Utah until Friday, so she'll be back for the Saturday morning show, and we'll be back at Wahoo Willie's at 11 o'clock and do our walk-around videos Saturday morning before the show. 11 o'clock on Saturday from Wahoo Willie's. Tomorrow night is a 6 o'clock show, and then Thursday around 4:30, and that's it for this week. Maybe a Friday night show. Not really sure about that. Oh, Marie says she's picking up another shipment Tuesday and expect to have 500 shirts ready for pickup and shipping. Look at that. We're moving right along. Thank you to Marie for all of her hard work with the shirts. And they sure do look dandy on you people when you get them, especially in the snow. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.